Translator, Ninetales. Editor, Dark Jinmu, Old Ma, and the others hastened their pace, their figures flashing like startled cranes across ravines and broken cliffs. Yet Old Ma had to continually suppress Granny Sai's heart, and the strain upon him mounted with every step. His breathing grew heavier, his chi more labored, and their speed was inevitably dragged down. Cult Master Li's aura swelled day by day, rising like a demonic tide, while Granny Sai's cultivation likewise surged without cease. However, Old Ma did not dare unleash his full strength, fearing that the slightest miscalculation would shatter Granny Sai's mind. Because of this restraint, their journey was filled with countless unstable variables, each more treacherous than the last. Granny Sai surfaced less and less within that frail body, while Cult Master Li awakened more frequently, his presence like a shadow stretching longer with the setting sun. Chinmu's heart burned with anxiety, yet he could do nothing but endure. This vast basin had once been a boundless sea. It was most likely the East Sea spoken of by the Heavenly King's god statue. The landform here was perilously complex, ravines and chasms plunging thousands of yards deep, mountain ridges honed as sharp as blades, jagged and merciless. The East Sea had lost all its waters and become ordinary land. When Chinmu recalled the villager's tale of the sea suspended in the sky the previous night, unease stirred within him. By dawn, the seawater had vanished without a trace. But where had it gone? The farther they advanced, the stranger and more formidable the living beings became. Luminous jellyfish drifted through the sky, glowing softly. When night descended, they retreated into temples, becoming as radiant as multicolored lanterns swaying in the dark. Along the way, they even encountered living flood dragons. Some coiled within deep mountain streams, others dwelled in volcanic craters, reigning over their domains like tyrants. So long as none provoked them, these flood dragons seldom left their lairs. On several occasions, Chinmu saw them soar forth to seize humans as prey. Yet when they passed Chinmu's group, the dragons sensed the formidable strength within them and dared not behave arrogantly, merely gliding past in silence. Once they exited the basin, Mount Meru would be but 2 days away. Throughout these days, Chinmu and the others dared not relax even in sleep. They remained ever ready to suppress Cult Master Li, a burden that drained them to exhaustion. Only the dragon Qilin slept soundly and ate heartily. Its hide, scales, and fur gleamed with luster, radiant and well-nourished. Thus Chinmu and the others simply mounted the dragon Qilin's broad back and allowed this colossal beast to bear them toward Mount Meru. Gradually, among the villages they passed, more and more people professed belief in Buddhism. Every household enshrined a Buddha statue. Some even placed Buddha images beside the ancient stone statues within their villages, worshiping God and Buddha together. Chinmu inquired and learned that monks had come to preach and had cured the villagers' illnesses, thereby winning their devotion. Buddhism seems to have taken root in Great Ruins as well, Blind said with a faint smile. By rescuing the abandoned folk of Great Ruins, Great Thunderclap Monastery does treat all beings equally. Yet, is this not also an opportune shortcut? Borrowing the renown of the stone statues to accumulate merit? The nearer they approached Great Thunderclap Monastery, the more Buddhist temples appeared. Some were heavy with incense smoke, housing Buddha statues of myriad forms. However, when night fell, the people and strange beasts of Great Ruins did not hide within these Buddhist temples. Instead, they flocked to places guarded by stone statues and god statues. Chinmu pondered silently. Old Rulai has exerted great effort, but he cannot contend with the gods of Great Ruins. Buddhism may cure illness, but it cannot save lives from the darkness. The surrounding mountains grew ever more majestic, monasteries of all sizes rising among them in dense clusters. As dusk approached, Chinmu passed several and chose one in which to stay. Incense smoke coiled thickly before the monastery. Within, several hundred monks continued chanting scriptures without fear of the encroaching night. Could these monks possess profound divine arts capable of resisting the darkness? Chinmu wondered in astonishment. To his surprise, most of the Buddha statues emitted faint divine light, repelling the darkness at bay. Chinmu stepped closer to examine one, and his face darkened. The monks had plastered pottery clay over the ancient stone statues of Great Ruins, firing the clay into the likeness of Buddha forms. Golden leaves were pasted over the surface, disguising the god statues as golden Buddhas. When night descended and the stone statues shielded the land from darkness, it appeared as though the Buddhas themselves displayed their might to protect all beings. When Qin Mu opened his third eye, he saw clearly that the gods safeguarding great ruins radiated divine light of 10,000 fathoms, not the Buddha statues. There were also savage and abnormal strange beasts that remained within the temple even by day. The monks were accustomed to this. The beasts were not chained, but roamed freely through the monastery. Most astonishing of all, the carnivorous beasts were docile, seemingly transformed into vegetarians, contrary to their ferocious nature. They too bowed before Buddha. Refugees from great ruins claimed this was the power of Buddhism. Yet Qin Mu saw monks secretly feeding these beasts great slabs of meat imbued with the scent of anesthetic. Astonishment struck him, and a frown furrowed his brow. "Muir, do not concern yourself overly," Blind said softly. "Great Thunderclap Monastery is near. If we smash this place, word will reach them, and they will trouble us. They might refuse to save Granny C." "Hypocrites," Granny C sneered. "This is Buddhism's hypocrisy. They possess no great divine art of their own, so they steal another's and claim it as theirs, boasting that it is the power of Buddhism. Blind, old Ma, you are hypocrites too. You require old Rule's aid, so you dare not expose these bald donkeys." Qin Mu said, "Whether they possess great divine arts or not, will not Cult Master Li know the truth when we reach Great Thunderclap Monastery and meet old Rulai?" Granny C chuckled coldly. "Cult Master Qin, truly worthy of being the sacred cult master of our sacred cult. You, the cult master of Heavenly Saint Cult, must beg old Rulai of the enemy sect for help. You shame the reputation of Heavenly Saint Cult. Our awe-inspiring authority will be ruined by you. When I fully recover and return to the sacred cult, I shall reorganize it and show you what a true cult master should do." Qin Mu remained unmoved. And what should the sacred cult master do? Tear down the facade of these bald donkeys, smash their Buddha statues, and reveal the god statues beneath, Granny C declared. Strip the anesthetics from the strange beasts and let them feast on humans, so their true nature is revealed and they massacre these bald donkeys, purging this monastery clean. Let the foolish masses see the truth. Buddhism appears grand, yet it is worthless. Haha, the so-called righteous path is dogshit. Drag that filth into the light. Do not let them coat clay idols in gold. These are the teachings of Heavenly Saint Cult, to see nature clearly and without delusion. Qin Mu found her reasoning sound, yet her methods too extreme. He too had considered removing the anesthetics from the beasts. But remembering that they would devour humans once awakened, he could only abandon the thought. At last, Great Thunderclap Monastery came into view. In the heart of God-broken mountain range rose a majestic peak. All other ranges had been cleaved apart by a colossal force, forming sheer cliffs and precipitous rock faces impassable even to birds. Snow blanketed every mountain, save this one. Alone it stood at the center, protected by its brethren. Strangely, the peaks resembled ascending steps. 3,000 peaks formed the lowest tier in a vast circle. Above them were 999 peaks, then 99, then 9. Each layer rose higher than the last, encircling the central main peak. Monasteries of all sizes dotted these peaks, each worshipping imposing Buddha statues. Some peaks were carved entirely into colossal Buddha forms. Some monasteries were built upon a Buddha's palm, others within its heart. "Truly extravagant," Blind praised. "Old Ma, why do you Buddhists adore gold and silver so? Such splendor and luxury. Would it not be better used for disaster relief?" Monks speak of the 4 elements as vanity, yet their coffers are never empty. Old Ma replied indifferently, "If we were not luxurious, who would worship and offer alms?" "Hypocrite," Granny C sneered. Qin Mu shouted, "Silence! Old Rulai will refine you to death later." "Rascal, you dare scold me!" Granny C fumed. Flustered, Qin Mu muttered, "Ah, it's Granny. Granny, do not take offense. I thought Cult Master Li had emerged again." Granny C sneered. "Old Ma, I do not speak of you alone, but look around. What monastery here is not grand and indulgent? Which Buddha statue does not gleam with silver or gold? Among all sects, only these bald donkeys are so lavish. They produce nothing, pay no taxes, yet cry foul when their interests are touched. Meanwhile, they nurture monk soldiers, rebel, and seek to control the world." "Silence, demon!" came a shout from midair. Chinmu looked up to see a monk radiant with Buddha light, his appearance dignified, though fury flashed across his face at Granny C's words. The monk's gaze fell upon old Ma. Astonishment flickered briefly. Then he fled while shouting, "This is bad! This is bad! Ma Wangshen has returned up the mountain!" Across the monasteries on the peaks, monks erupted into commotion, soaring into the sky to form formations as though facing a formidable enemy. Ma Wangshen said calmly, "When I returned previously to retrieve my arm, I caused a minor disturbance. Let us ascend the mountain." Fire clouds formed beneath the dragon Chilin's hooves as it dashed toward the central peak. That peak rose above a sea of clouds. Sunlight bathed it in brilliant gold, hence its name, the Golden Peak. Even for the dragon Chilin, it would take time to reach it in flight. Along the way, they passed thousands of temples and monasteries. Most housed senior monks of profound cultivation and remarkable skill. None dared step forward to block them, yet neither were they resigned to allowing them to intrude upon Mount Meru's Golden Peak unchallenged. More and more monks rode forth upon strange beasts, encircling the Golden Peak in layered formations. Tens of thousands gathered densely in the sky, forming ranks upon ranks to subdue demons and devils. Chinmu could not help admiring old Ma. When Grandpa Ma came last time, he must have fought his way upward and stormed directly into the main peak. Old Ma halted the dragon Chilin before the vast host of monks forming an impenetrable defense. "I have come to see old Rulai," he said. "I have a request." His voice resonated across heaven and earth. Instantly, myriad visions filled the mountains. Golden springs burst from the ground. A lotus descended from the sky. The 8 races of demigods and semi-devils manifested overhead. The gods of the 20 heavens appeared. Radiance shone in all directions as countless voices recited the Buddha's many names in unison. This incantation mastery subdued innumerable monks. At that moment, an aged voice laughed from the Golden Peak. "Ma Wangshen, your cultivation has improved since those days. You must have cultivated to the 20th heaven of Rulai's Mahayana Sutra, the Brahma realm. One step further and you would be a Rulai. Monks, withdraw and let him ascend. I have awaited him long." 20 heavens? Chinmu was slightly stunned and looked at old Ma. The monk's impenetrable formation parted. Old Ma guided the dragon Chilin upward and said, "There are 20 realms in Rulai's Mahayana Sutra. When one cultivates all 20, one becomes a Rulai. When I left Great Thunderclap Monastery, I had already reached the 19th realm, the Sakra realm. At that time, I was already a first-class practitioner beneath heaven." Translator, Ninetales. Editor, Dark Gem. If one cultivates all 20 realms, they will become Rulai? Chinmu's eyes shone like stars kindled in the night. Great Thunderclap Monastery was without doubt the supreme sacred ground of Buddhism. Rulai's Mahayana Sutra was worthy of being the sect's inherited ultimate art, standing shoulder to shoulder with the great educational heavenly devil scriptures and the 14 writings of Tao Sword. The 3 greatest sacred grounds truly lived up to their names. They were by no means empty reputations. Now that the Eternal Peace Empire suffered beneath a vast snow disaster, the 4 seasons here resembled perpetual summer. Many refugees from the Eternal Peace Empire had fled to this haven, taking shelter within the monasteries, and countless among them had converted to Buddhism. Chinmu gazed toward the monasteries perched upon the mountain peaks and spoke softly. What Great Thunderclap Monastery is doing seems somewhat like taking advantage of others in their time of suffering. Blind shook his head. "Muir, regardless of their intentions, one must look at their deeds. Great Thunderclap Monastery has preserved the lives of these people. That is a virtuous act. Even if they use this opportunity to spread the teachings of Buddhism, what they have done remains good. If you magnify only their motives and ignore what has been accomplished, then you will be no different from Cult Master Li." Chinmu was startled, then inclined his head in acknowledgement. A person's life was nothing more than a path of cultivation. It was easy to stray under the influence of extreme thoughts. Anyone lacking mature reflection and steadfast conviction could be led astray by the inclinations of their own heart. During these past days at Cult Master Li's side, Chinmu had been influenced by him without even realizing it. The former cult master of the Heavenly Devil cult possessed a devilish nature, his mindset inclined toward extremes. Yet he was a grandmaster, and his reasoning was sharp and orderly. With the slightest carelessness, one could unconsciously absorb his philosophy and manner of thought. The dragon Chillin ascended to the golden peak. The fire clouds beneath his hooves diminished as he descended to the ground. The golden peak pierced through the sea of clouds, which gleamed like white jade paving the earth. It was as though they had stepped into a celestial paradise. Qin Mu surveyed his surroundings and exclaimed in admiration. Roland's golden palace had been opulent, bearing the air of a newly wealthy household. Great Thunderclap Monastery was likewise luxurious, yet here the splendor was solemn, and everywhere lingered the dignity and cultural heritage of Buddhism. Upon the golden peak, pagodas rose in great number, and one among them towered above the rest in grandeur. Monks with long brows sat within and along its eaves, continuously chanting scriptures, their Buddha voices resonating and reverberating across the heavens. Could this be the Thousand Buddhas Pagoda? Qin Mu pondered inwardly. A female bodhisattva clad in white, bearing a white vase in her arms, stepped forward and bowed. Heavenly Devil Cult Master, Ma Wangshen, Madam C, and this old Tao friend, Ru Lai, is already awaiting you. Please follow me. Qin Mu replied, Thank you for the trouble, big sister. Big sister? The female bodhisattva laughed lightly. Cult Master Qin jests, please. Qin Mu and the others followed behind her. Upon the golden peak, radiant Buddha light encircled the eminent monks as they sat amidst drifting clouds. Behind them, golden halos formed perfect circles, dazzling to behold. Old Rulai, leader of the monks, sat at the highest point. His corporeal body appeared vast and majestic. At his sides stood the left and right venerables. Below them were seated various bodhisattvas, arhats, vajras, guardians, and several of old Rulai's disciples whose cultivation was profound. Among them were monks whose Tao attainments seemed of another race entirely. They bore forms that did not resemble humans. As Qin Mu and his group approached, Qin Mu cupped his hands and greeted, Senior brother. Old Rulai hastily rose and returned the courtesy. Senior brother. The instant he stood, the guardians, venerables, bodhisattvas, arhats, and vajras all rose in unison and declared, Senior brother. After the exchange of greetings, old Rulai lifted his hand, inviting Qin Mu to sit beside him. The seat offered was but a simple praying mat. Should he sit upon it, he would be positioned far below the monks who floated high in the sky. Mu'er, just sit, old Ma said. When Qin Mu sat down, he felt a gentle force lift both him and the mat upward, placing him upon the back of the dragon Chillin in a display of subtle yet formidable skill. Old Rulai turned to old Ma and smiled. Disciple, are you finally willing to release the mortal world and return to the mountain? Return to the mountain? In my heart there once stood a Mount Meru, but there is no longer a Buddha there. Old Rulai smiled faintly. When the Mount Meru in your heart is gone, you will become Rulai. Excellent. Remove wife and children from your heart, and in a few days I shall pass away. This great Thunderclap Monastery will then be yours to lead. Old Ma shook his head. If I were to lead this place, I would slaughter all the damned Baldies upon this mountain. The expressions of the guardians and arhats shifted drastically, and fury ignited within them. Old Rulai spoke. You persist stubbornly in walking the wrong path. When you returned to the mountain last time, I hurried back, yet was still a step too late. You must remember that we remain master and disciple. You severed your own arm and sent it here, but I believed you would cast aside mortal entanglements and return to Great Thunderclap Monastery. Thus, I ordered the monks to enshrine your arm within the Thousand Buddhas Pagoda, hoping that one day you would find your way back. You should understand my intentions. Old Ma answered gravely, I understand, but my wife and children perished at the hands of Great Thunderclap Monastery. This blood debt must be repaid in blood. Foolish disciple. Old Rulai shouted before him, Wife and children are but illusions, mere mortal flesh. If you possessed Buddha nature, you would know that the karmic fruits of marriage return to nothingness. Old Ma roared back in rage, Nothingness, my ass. I already severed my arm. What more do you want? Why did you kill my wife and children? Whether they were pink skeletons or demons that bound me, so what if I cherished pink skeletons? Calling you master was giving you face because we need your help. Speak one more word, and I will overturn you, bathe this golden peak in blood, and slaughter every bald donkey on your mountain. The faces of the monks shifted. none able to remain seated. Chin had never expected Old Ma to erupt so suddenly. In the village, Old Ma had always been calm and reliable, the one cripple respected most. Chin had never imagined that once Old Ma's temper flared, none could restrain him. Dark clouds gathered over the golden peak. Moments earlier, auspicious clouds and golden radiance had filled the sky. Now murderous intent suffused the air. Chin coughed loudly, then laughed. Minor matters obscure the main issue. It is merely a minor matter. Senior Brother Roulet, allow me to introduce everyone. This is my Grandpa Ma, known to most as Old Ma. His seniority is twice mine. This is Granny C, likewise twice my senior. And here is Grandpa Blind, the same. Fellow Dow brothers, no need for excessive formalities. Old Roulet chuckled, and the dark clouds dispersed. Cult Master Chin, destiny binds us. You once received the Kakar staff that accompanied me through the martial world. When it came into your possession, it signified the destiny of master and disciple between us. I had intended to journey to the great ruins to meet the old Dow friends of disabled elderly village and bring you into Great Thunderclap Monastery. Yet our destiny fractured. When we met again, you had already become the devil cult master of Heavenly Devil Cult. Timing and fate were misaligned. Fate makes fools of us all. Chin smiled. Roulet jests. This time, your junior brother has come to request Roulet's aid in subduing a devil. Within Granny C's body resides a great expert, the previous cult master of our sacred cult, Li Tianxing. He has transformed into a devil seedling and planted himself in Granny C's Dao heart. Thus, I request Roulet to subdue this devil and eliminate a public scourge. A venerable spoke softly. Revered one of the world, this Granny C is the former saintess of Heavenly Devil Cult, Si Yo-Yo. On the night of her marriage to Li Tianxing, she slew him. She is no virtuous person. She is a devil among devils. The guardians and arhats echoed. These are internal affairs of the devil cult. How can we intervene? Old Roulet raised his hand with a smile. All living beings are equal. Buddhas are among living beings, and devils are among living beings. Since Cult Master Chin makes this request, this old monk shall assist. The gaze of another venerable flickered. When we bestow scriptures, we accept offerings. To subdue this devil, might we? Old Roulet waved him silent. Cult mistress, may we behold your true appearance? Chin hesitated, then shook his head. Roulet, is it truly necessary? Blind tapped his bamboo cane against the ground. Old Roulet, there is no need to see Granny's true appearance. It would not be beneficial if your monk's cultivation were disturbed. Affairs of the heart are ephemeral. Peerless beauty is but pink skeleton. Dao friend, you underestimate the cultivation of my Great Thunderclap Monastery. Old Roulet smiled faintly. Without seeing the cult mistress's true form, it would be difficult to enlighten Cult Master Li. For him, love arose from beauty, and from that sprang the demon of temptation. I merely wished to behold the object of his affection. Granny C giggled. Blind Old Ma, why not remove my seal? Cult Master Chin, peel off this unsightly skin. I wish to see these hypocritical monks and test their resolve. Blind frowned slightly and asked in a low voice, Old Ma, what do you think? Old Ma hesitated, glancing at the monks filling the mountain. Old Roulet's Buddhist cultivation surpasses mine. He should be capable. Mu'er, what say you? Chin pondered. Even if it fails, we must try. Grandpas, remain vigilant. We cannot allow Cult Master Li to escape. Granny, Se laughed. I have contended with this old bald donkey for countless years. With such a spectacle, why would I flee? Even if you drove me away, I would not go. Old Ma sighed and withdrew the spirit Buddha's primordial spirit from between Granny C's brows, nodding to Blind. Blind extended his hand. A silver vital chi, like a dragon, flew from Granny C's body and returned to him. Chin stepped forward and made a gentle cut. Granny C's outer skin split open, and from within stepped a breathtakingly beautiful woman. Her hair cascaded like a waterfall as she slowly lifted her head. With luminous eyes, she swept her gaze across every monk present. The golden peak fell into absolute silence. Even the Buddha voices chanting scriptures halted in that instant. The eminent monks who had attained Tao felt their throats grow dry and their hearts pound fiercely. Prayer beads spun rapidly within their fingers. Suddenly, the Buddha light behind one bodhisattva's head dissipated. He plummeted from the sky into the valley below the clouds. After a moment, a heavy thud echoed upward. Thump, thump. More heavy impacts followed, arhats and vajras striking the earth below. Old Rulai's expression shifted slightly as he looked around swiftly. All the monks' eyes were fixed upon the body of the stunning woman, their prayer beads spinning ever faster. Tut! Old Rulai was about to shout when another voice rang out. An Arhat roared and charged at Granny C. This demoness bewitches all living beings, a heavenly devil. At first sight of her, a devil arose in my heart. I must kill her. I will slay this devil for the sake of the world. Avadra brandished his devil-subduing pestle, manifesting 3 heads and 6 arms as he rushed forward. An old monk suddenly forced his way ahead, blocking them. He tore off his Buddhist robe and snapped his prayer beads apart, laughing wildly. I have long been accustomed to arson and slaughter, never cultivating the righteous fruit. The first half of my life spent eating vegetarian food and chanting scriptures has been wasted. After seeing such beauty, I know the first half of my life was wasted. Now I shall return to normal life. Several more Arhats rushed forward, and chaos erupted upon the golden peak. Old Rulai's yellow robe trembled. The Buddha voice from the Thousand Buddhas Pagoda resounded suddenly. Thousands of scriptures chanted simultaneously, pulling the monks battling upon the peak back to their senses. One by one, they sat down, deeply ashamed. Eating vegetarian and chanting scriptures? What use is cultivating the righteous fruit? Is it not better to enjoy without delay? I returned to normal life. An old monk suddenly leapt from the golden peak and vanished into the distance.